All right.
Probably the first item of business is there has been some positions vacated. The Oklahoma Free State Assembly structure itself, recording secretary, and she's gone over to the People's Ecclesiastical Organization that belongs to Mark Smith, so we're missing a recording secretary. If anyone would like to just, until we get a larger group convened, fill that position, to just write up some minutes. This would be the easiest one to write minutes up on. Cheryl, I didn't hear everybody's looking at you.
I can't always concentrate that way.
Well, this is not going to be a
I'm
long one.
concentrating and I'm not writing.
And we'll have video that you need to look at to fill in the blanks or whatever, and that'll be available to you. But this is not a really business-filled assembly, and just a more open discussion later on. But, okay, so thank you, Sean. This will just be a temporary position until we can have a crowd that we can actually, vote on in, so that this will. Dwayne is still our treasurer. CJ was our sergeant at arms, but he's over on Chuck's side now. Not Chuck, but Mark. And we don't really need a sergeant at arms now at this assembly, so we can hold up on that position too. So the recording secretary was the big one. So that
The 4 county and the state.
Well, yeah, we're having a state. That's right. So we do need a treasurer. Glad you pointed that out. Because we just had no assemblies because of all this, and we've had one here. So Dwayne is our treasurer for LaPorte County. So Dwayne, would you, if it's okay with everyone, except the temporary for the state assembly people, Oklahoma Free State treasurer for until we can get somebody to end. I don't think you're going to have an issue with money, today.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It's okay if everyone. We don't just everybody agree. Okay. All right. So that fills the 2 pretty much required positions. Sergeant at arms, where it's not needed at the moment. We're all pretty peaceful as far as I can see. And so we'll go on to. We had abandoned state positions, and as we don't really have true representation here from the 2 sides, enough in numbers for nominations. If anyone wants to nominate someone for a position, we can accept those nominations now. But as far as that will have to be ongoing, and until we can actually have more people who have to post it, nominations, do ballots, and that's going to be not that lengthy of a process, but we can't do that today. So, but today we can accept nominations. If anybody wants to nominate anybody, the positions available. Yes, sir.
Well, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Might be, yeah.
Okay. Right now, the president and his staff is in Henrietta, as everybody probably knows.
That's what we're waiting.
And they're going to make some hard decisions, I hope in our favor. I'm not sure because I wasn't involved with their representative. Jeff Milliken was, and Ron Boston. They spent until 3 o'clock in the morning with Justin Peachy in Tulsa last night and early this morning. They could probably brief the people better on what took place than any of us here.
That's right.
But the bottom line is we don't know what positions are vacated, okay, because they had the assembly in Henrietta, And that assembly, they had the Utah documents that everybody's been wanting to see. So probably a good majority of the representation of people that would be here are up there because it's a historical thing. And like I said, we don't have any focus on which direction we have to go other than we know we have vacated positions, but we don't know exactly what positions are vacated. So we're going to have to wait till the dust settles to determine what positions are going to be available.
Very true.
And that's pretty much where that's going to be. In the upcoming assemblies, we're going to have to refill those positions lawfully.
And
I'm sure Jeff or Ron can give you all a basic synopsis of what happened last night and this morning.
For the record, because she can't be here, but she wanted me to announce it in the record that Deborah Tomlinson still wants her position as representative for Oklahoma Free State, and she has acted with honor. And I told her I would read that into the record, so accepted. And I would imagine.
Maybe we should identify the people that are here that are currently elected under the Oklahoma Free State.
That's right.
We have positions in the record.
Of course, everyone knows I'm Assembly Chairman.
What's your name?
James Keith. We have Cheryl Gwaltney, that was elected into Education
Superintendent. Public
Public Instruction. Dwayne Fudge,
Representative.
Ronald Moyer,
Senator.
Ronald Boston,
House of Representatives.
House of Representatives, Speaker of the House.
That's not correct.
That's not correct? Okay.
It's representative.
Just representative, okay. That was from, yeah, okay. Jeff Milligan, representative. Wayne McCutcheon, Chief Justice.
Anna.
She doesn't have a
You were a
position.
judge.
Yeah, she
I was done.
Before Kim.
I was done.
She resigned.
yeah, so she's the people. She's the boss now.
Denise,
Denise Kitchen, Lieutenant Governor. All Oklahoma Free State officials.
I have a question. Anna, are you resigning because of the unlawful group?
That's why I resigned, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would say that people would make a determination whether they would accept your resignation. I think if you prefer to still be a district court judge like the people that elected you, that is still valid.
does that affect her capacity as the grand jury foreman?
No.
No, it doesn't. Won't affect
No,
it.
if you take a jural covenant assigned, and understand this, the people's grand jury is the people. Everybody here is the people regardless of what their official position would be. The people's grand jury is outside of the three branches of government. It doesn't have an effect on your position. So I would second ask the question if Anna would prefer to be a judge and be in her elected position as she was initially elected by the people.
I'll second.
Come on.
Second.
Second.
That's up to her.
There.
Third.
She accepts.
Okay. Until I would say interim until we have full assembly where recognized people respect.
That'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Wayne, did you second that?
Do what?
You want something? Do you need something?
Is
Oh, my drinks for tea.
She's the lieutenant governor.
Okay.
Well, okay. Right now, because we have vacated positions, okay, and there really isn't anything in the Constitution, except right now, the governors and several individuals have gone astray, so I'm making the assessment that they've vacated their positions because they're having their own government over here. Okay? So we have, I would recommend, or I motion, let's put it that way, I motion by the Constitution in the absence of the governor that the lieutenant governor step up temporarily until we hold an election. And I motion that Denise be the acting governor.
I second it.
Motion carries. Denise?
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we can go ahead and read it to the record, the report. That's from Ron and Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff or Ron, if you go ahead and...
Jeff is not the public speaker so much, but he can fill in. So we'll let him, and both of them together, I think we'll do a fine job briefing us on everything that went on and where we stand. And we're waiting Don's phone call when we get a result from Henrietta. But as of catching us up on what transpired yesterday and last night, then you have the floor, Mr. Boston.
Last night, we presented Chief Justice Peachy with the evidence of corruption in the Free State of Oklahoma. He informed us that he had never seen the documents. And his body language and his expressions led me to believe that it was true. Then he said, I'm going to paraphrase it to keep from taking up a lot of time. Then he said that he had enough evidence to stop the election, that they was going to hold today. And he also said that he was going to have, that he dropped the ball and that he was going to have to discipline the other justices, because he should have been in the loop completely on everything that was given to the justices, no matter which direction it went in. It should have ended up on his desk. And he also said, if I'm not mistaken, that he would like to be here. Now, I wanted to say he would be here, but I can't say for sure. Okay?
He should.
Should. Okay.
He should be.
He should be here. Because at that point, he recognized that there had been that they had been lied to. And the reason I say they is because he said that the president hadn't seen it either. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. All I can report is what we were told. And it led me to believe that this will all be addressed today in Henrietta. This is my assumption by his reaction and what he said, because he said that he had enough evidence to stop it. And if the elections stopped, that means that the people's grand jury, their documents will be enforced. Top down or bottom up, whichever way you want to consider it. They don't have any choice. Because pretty much their hands are tied. And, you know, like I say, I had spoke with Mr. Keith, Senator Moyer, and a few others, and Chief Justice about extending them some latitude, and I was informed that they would have to request it. Which, like I say, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a policymaker. I'm a servant. And that's the point that I impressed upon him. And when I was Speaker of the House, anyone that know me will tell you, I told them, when they said, this is our leader, no. I'm not your leader, I'm your servant. Which is the way it has to be. In order to be the Speaker of the House, that would mean that everything goes through me. which means they bring it to me, I look at it and see if it has enough validity to go to the board to be reviewed by the whole house. Doesn't mean that I'm above anybody or beneath anybody. It means that I'm a servant of servants.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, is there more that you want to say, or?
No, that's it.
That's it right there.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What was Justice's, PG's response as to why they did not see that case when I know that it was submitted quite some time ago?
Corruption. Because what he said was that when the evidence was presented to him, and he said he had never seen it, my natural response was, why? And then he said, corruption. There's no other way to explain it. You know, and everybody knows that if you have
One bad apple.
one bad apple anywhere, and it's not rooted out, it's going to ruin what? The whole bag. And because of how it went in, and like he said, it was a logistic thing, the Bureau of Records never should have been involved in it. Plain and simple, it never should have been.
But that's where they were instructed to send that information.
Correct.
How convenient.
No. We would send it to the Supreme Court, but it went to the Bureau of Records. It was signed by Army. And he said that was because of the switching around and getting the new offices and stuff.
See, like I say, there's things that he and Jeff talked about, and he and I talked about that. I was there and I was trying to do other things to get the information in front of him so that we could open his eyes, so that God could open his eyes. We couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But
God
he never
opened his eyes
received
to
the
it.
documents from the record bureaus.
Never received it at all.
Because I showed him the documents. That's not what.
But they were emailed. It was my understanding they were emailed to him.
Corruption.
Corruption.
Intercepted.
Because
That's a good excuse.
the way it was
That's
passed,
illogical.
the way it was passed, what he said was this, that the emails were being intercepted, which is possible because if somebody had an email password, they can go in and snatch, change. Everything that he said led me to believe that he was telling me the truth. Okay?
I printed 1,000 pages. You haven't seen anything.
No.
Did he indicate who he thought was intercepting this? He named them.
What was your remark, Anna?
I said, I wondered if he named who he thought intercepted these
They have
documents.
suspicions.
Yes.
And I don't think he's going to deal with that and address that.
He's going to address.
We know who they sent it, who we sent it to.
Yeah, we know,
Right.
but I'm just trying to ascertain whether he knows and he's going to deal with it.
He said he was going to deal with it.
With the
And-
look at the shock on his face and his shoulders slumping down, he's got a big job ahead of him now. But that's
what
gonna
he
prove
said
it.
for.
It, like you said, he has the evidence, to stop the election. And that in itself told me, think about it, that said in itself that he hadn't seen it. And he was sent, think about it, he was sent by the president to meet with us to view the evidence,
To verify.
to verify, which is to view. You can't verify without viewing it. But, that's neither not that. Play on words. But the point that I'm making is this.
It's a long night. A long day.
When he did it, I believe that at this point, it'll be addressed the way it should have been addressed back when it was filed.
And it originally was filed back in February, if I remember right.
What are we talking about?
Your case.
No.
I don't know.
What can?
That point's behind me.
The case against Mark and Brett was filed on 7 March. The Record Bureau grant signed return receipt for the case against Chuck Krause. The reply to the restraining order on 23rd of March.
And when Nathan Peachy saw the receipt that it was received in, and this stack of paper this big, he got instantly mad.
Well, see, we didn't send it, so you all know, we did not send it in a stack of papers. Okay? I sent it to them in a CD, so all I had to do was put it in the computer and they had it. I sent it to them several ways. I sent it to the President of the United States in 5 parts because one of the cases, the Brett case, and the Mark case, and the Tammy case, was 93 megabytes, which is a lot of information, 550 plus pages. The case for the Crowell case is the ROSC 2012-0001 was over 750 pages. It was 120 megabytes. So there was no way to send. I could have sent them hard copy. That's ridiculous when you have a digital system. So we emailed it to them. I also created on a terabyte, the same terabyte that everybody had access to as members of the Republic, and gave them individual username and passwords for the President and his security advisor, Tim Pledger. And they never even looked at it. We sent them emails. I provided that information to Jeff. Jeff emailed them. I emailed them and sent it to the one Supreme Court. I also put it in the Dropbox. I sent the Dropbox when you invite somebody to a folder in the Dropbox, it sends them an email for an invitation to the Dropbox. I sent them the invitations to the Supreme Court Justice, Justin Peachy, which his email address is American Date. I sent it to the one Supreme Court. I sent it to Justice Gola. I sent it to Rick Weiner. I sent it, I'm not sure if I sent it to Janine Stewart because I didn't want her involved in it. And I sent it to the President. So it was really, the only one that accepted invitation was Rick Weiner. And then the one Supreme Court looked at it 2 days after they filed their final finding. So they filed the final finding on April 28th, and they looked in the Dropbox on the 30th of April, which, of course, raised flags. So that's where it stood. So and then, like I said, we sent it to them certified receipt, which we have a certified return receipt that they received it. Their direction, Justice Peachy direction, he sent an email, which everybody should have got, that said, and this is on the Chuck's case, okay, the Oklahoma Republic that filed against us on the restraining order. They wanted information, okay, and asked the people to write, affidavits of factual information, and that they could get it and make an assessment on who was right and who was wrong. And that was from Nathan Peachy saying send it to the Record Bureau branch, with the Record Bureau branch address. That's where we sent it. That was their directive. When they got that information, when they dismissed the cases, both of them, they dismissed them on the grounds that they were not put together according to their procedures or whatever, or their format, and there was too much information for them to make heads or tails of. To me, that was an embarrassment to me because we put the cases together exactly according to Justice Peachy's format for sending cases to the one Supreme Court, which is also in the grand jury document as evidence. They dismissed 2 cases, and they used 6 signatures of 6 judges on both cases to dismiss them under the same grounds. Well, the 002 case, which was the Brett LaRue, Mark Smith, and Tammy White's case, the people of Oklahoma versus them, was a completely separate issue. It didn't have anything to do with them asking for production, but they dismissed the cases on the same grounds, which led us again to believe that they, in fact, did not look at the cases. And when we were on the phone with Justice Peachy day before yesterday, was it day before yesterday or yesterday?
Yes.
When we were on the phone for almost 3 hours with Justice Peachy, explaining to him what the situation was, he wasn't intelligent about what he was saying in the cases, which again led me to believe that he hadn't seen the cases. And, sorry? Day before yesterday. Okay? So it is very possible that Justice Peachy didn't get them. Okay? But we can prove that we sent them to him email. Okay? And we can prove that we sent them to National Return Receipt. So it's an issue that they have to address. It's something that we can't address. Okay? They have some issues in their system that need to be addressed, which hinder your rights. Okay? The rights of this state and all the other states. Because how much of this is going on? We're just one state, and there's 39 more out there that are supposed to be seated. Okay? So that's pretty much it.
Yes.
Justice Peachy said last night, whenever he saw the paperwork, in the emails it said that it was complex and they were dismissing it because it was garbage. But last night when Peachy was looking at all of his documents, he said that they were highly organized. And there was enough evidence. I mean, I left him with this stack of paperwork in many folders. It's going to take a long time to go through it, but he said there was enough evidence that he could see in this highly organized file that they shouldn't have an election. But we were a done deal.
Does everybody realize what is transpired here? Okay. I mean, from the time that we adjourned the People's Assembly before Christmas, okay, and we had 2 great assemblies, okay, and everything was going exactly like the people wanted. The people were informed what was going on. We put all the information in the Dropbox according to the people's wishes. We did all the voting, all the electing, everything dressed by law, okay? And because of Brett LaRue and Mark Smith, Brett convinced Mark to go a different way because Brett's thought in his emails is prevalent that he believed that the only way that they could get funding and seating is that they have the positions that Brett was told by someone or made up that we had to have them in our Oklahoma Constitution. During the assembly on 7 January, I read a list of the laws that they were either intending on breaking or have already broken to them. Okay? And I did it deliberately without getting personally involved because we took an oath to the people not to express our opinions. And I stand by that oath. They chose, after we read the laws to them, out of the Constitution, to go the direction that they decided to go. That makes them lawbreakers by the Republican form law form, period. Because it says in our law form that we'll obey the Constitution of the United States. We installed the Oklahoma Constitution and they swore an oath to obey the Oklahoma Constitution. They chose to put people in positions and point people into positions that they wanted into positions and remove officials that were officially elected by the people. That's against the law. You can't do that. The authority was not there. We asked them for the authority to make a change, show us in writing what your authority is to do what you want to do. They never could show anything. They hid behind the Bible. That's what they do. They hide behind the Bible because they want to do what they want to do and they want to use the will of the people to do it. But the facts are we installed the Oklahoma Constitution and those are our enumerated laws and processes that we have to abide by. That's what we do as a society. That's why we installed the Oklahoma Constitution. And by them taking over the Christmas vacation and taking people that were elected like Darlene Schiller and making her comptroller from a representative, that broke a specific law in the Constitution. All of those evidences we compiled in a pile and presented it last night to the one Supreme Court. And believe you me, they have broken many, many laws. And for the laws that they knew that they broke, that we informed them on the 7th of January, they went back and convened a House of Representatives illegally and had the people who were the representatives who thought they were doing the right thing for the people, they were instructed that they had to do it to get seated and be funded, which was a false statement. Okay? And they fell into the trap of Brett and Mark by proceeding to break the law because they believed they were doing it for the will of the people. Some very important issues is where is the assembly of people to ask them to do anything? Another point is there's nothing in the joint resolutions or any of the legal documents that require to have any other positions but the enumerated positions in our Constitution. So when it comes to a comptroller, a secretary of state, not a secretary of state, a state administrator, the rangers, and all those things that they changed to what they wanted or thought they should be are illegal and against the law. So what needs to happen is a grand jury was convened. They were presented with 16 counts of laws that have been confirmed out of the Constitution that they broke. They signed the document, the grand jury, the People's Grand Jury document, when we installed it, and said, I agree to this being our governing document. And they turned their nose up at it, and they got a notice from the people. That is against the law. Okay? They need to be removed. So we continued on, and they chose to change all the documents that the people elected. And a lot of people were at the assembly and witnessed, and it's all videotaped and it's recorded in the minutes, okay, that we did everything lawfully. Their Dropbox that they created, they tried to take our minutes from our assembly meeting and meld it into the positions that they created, okay, and it's not going to work. That's why Oklahoma did not get recognized or seated according to national. And the president made a statement at the roundtable to the effect that our Dropbox was in such disarray that they couldn't make heads or tails out of it, and we would never get seated. Okay? But the fact is our Dropbox was completed, and Tammy White at that time sent a letter out to the people saying everything was completed. On the 9th of December, 2011, I completed putting 2,166 files in the Dropbox. We were only missing 2 oaths of office, which is not a requirement because you only need 5 people to seat the government. We put 37 officials in our organization, which is we did it for a reason because Chuck's group was trying to be seated at the same time. We wanted to show national that we had an operational government, and we had an operational government until they destroyed it, and that's where we are right now. Trying to put it back together.
Let's vindicate Richard Bacon and what was said about him in the Dropboxes.
Richard Bacon. I've had several conversations with Richard Bacon, and I've gone to a few of their assemblies, inviting them to meld with us, to come together as in unity. Okay. Richard had nothing to do with the Dropbox. Richard was the regional ambassador when the Republic started up. He was one of the regional ambassadors, so he was in control of like 6 different states. So he had access to the Dropbox for those 6 different states. But once we became the Oklahoma Free State, Janine Stewart or Rick Weiner created a separate Dropbox from us, which was totally different from their Dropbox. So Richard had no access to it at all. We were called the people of Oklahoma. That was our original Dropbox that I put everything in. On the 14th of December, Mark Smith, or before the 14th of December, I noticed after I put all the completed documents in the Dropbox, someone was going into the Dropbox and pulling up documents, and someone's name in there was Mark Smith. Okay, because 4 people had access to the Dropbox. Ronald Brown, myself, Tammy Wright, and Mark Smith. Mark Smith is not computer literate, okay? And I was at Mark Smith's house when Brett moved in over there and took his office over, and he set the Dropbox up in Mark Smith's name, okay, and put the password in it. I physically watched that myself. So when those names came up on the Dropbox of documents that were being pulled up of individuals that were in Chucky's group over there, I called Mark on the phone, and Justice Wayne McCutcheon was on the other end. And I asked the governor, have you been in the Dropbox? And he told me, no, I haven't been in the Dropbox. I said, well, according to the Dropbox, your name is on there for signing in and going in and pulling these documents up. The people that he pulled up was from Chuck's group. Mark Smith didn't know them. So the only person was left, in my assessment, was Brett. So he got off the phone and he went to talk to Brett. Brett, he called us back, and Brett denied being in the Dropbox. Okay? So someone of those two are lying in my professional experience. Okay. And after that, then on the 14th, Tammy went in the Dropbox and started moving. I don't know how many, hundreds of files she started deleting. Changing the names to comptroller, changing them from state auditor to comptroller, changing them from ranger sheriffs to rangers, changing them from this to that. That's when all the emails started flying. James started saying, what are you doing? You haven't asked permission from the people. You're just doing this on your own accord. Okay? Well, again, Brett was behind it because Brett was determined, and I can prove it in the emails, it's in the court case, that his total intention was to do what he did. And he did exactly what his intentions were. And this is before we even held elections, because Brett and I were having some controversy, and he was trying to say, well, we can do this, and we can write a law to change that, and we can break the law first, and then go back and fix it. And no, you can't. I hold my ground, and he got pissed off about it, basically. But all the proof is in the court cases. If you look at the court cases, they're available. I believe Donald has them on YouTube. Okay? And it went on and it went on. And we held the meetings and without anybody knowing that all this conflict was going on in the background. Because Mark assured us that he had Brett under control. And he did have Brett under control. So we elected everybody officially, and everybody was happy. And then we went home for Christmas. And in the background during Christmas time, they were changing stuff. They were changing the files. They were deleting files, and they were appointing people into positions and signing, people are signing, swearing that they were elected and swearing that, all this happened on these specified days. And it's all fraud. Every bit of it.
They had no minutes of the meeting, no vote of the people. They had no authority or permission of the people to do it. They just did it of their own accord.
They want funding. That's the whole key.
Yeah, it's all about the money. And power and position.
Because if you talk to them and look at what they write, it's all about funding. It's all about money. I need money. Well, what's going to happen when they get the money? You are going to be responsible for it. The people.
Yeah, go over the hill with it.
We have to pay it back.
We're responsible for paying it back.
And I'm just telling you facts, okay? There's a lot more that y'all are not aware of. There's a lot more that I haven't even uncovered. But from December to current, they have broken more laws. They should be shot. They're seditionists.
Okay, Armin's first here.
Where do we stand at the present time? Where do we stand as of today? Our grand jury, are those people going to be in or going to be out of the organization?
Well, one way or the other, the People's Grand Jury is a lawful, established grand jury.
All right.
It is considered the supreme law of the land. Over the one Supreme Court, the only thing equal to what we have is an ecclesiastical court, and that too is people.
Okay, but
The bottom line here right now, excuse me, what we did is we held a grand jury here last week, Okay? That grand jury document was sent to the President of the United States and the judiciary. There's one Supreme Court. Okay? They have so many days to answer it. Their deadline is tomorrow. It has specific things. I asked somebody to bring the document.
I've got it.
Okay?
I have an original copy here. You want it?
You have the notice, that's just the finding.
I'm going to sit back down. This is a people's grand jury document that went to the president. With this document attached on an email that went to the president is our grand jury document that has 94 signatures on it that you all signed. And we installed it, we proved it, we installed it last night to the Chief Justice because he questioned me about it. Because they're not educated in this. The people's grand jury is outside the three branches of government, which gives the people the power to go fix a runaway government. And they don't like it. Trust me, they don't like it. Because it has more power than they do. Okay? There were 12 findings on the document. Basically, it says one. Well, I'll just read the document. It says, a 12-count complaint filed by Senator Moyer, Justice Wayne Doyle McCutcheon of the Oklahoma Free State against Timothy Turner, President of the Republic of the United States of America. The one Supreme Court, Justice Nathan Peachy, Justice Robert Eugene Schaefer, Justice John Jermaine Gola, Justice Jesse Taylor Jones, Justice Richard Jermaine Rios, and Justice Harold Reed was given to the people grand jury for discovery as follows. 1. James Timothy Turner, acting President of the Republic of the United States of America, has acted outside his authority vested in him by the Constitution by directly involving himself in Oklahoma Free State affairs. He has, by letter exhibit, and we didn't attach the exhibits to him because we're not going to give them all our evidence. Okay? They need to figure that out. Written to the people of Oklahoma, directing or ordering the people to hold an illegal election in the state of Oklahoma, which is supposedly going on in Henrietta right now. Okay? This election completed November 19, 2011, and October 28, 2011. The people adopted and installed the original organic constitution and addendum attached. The minutes for the October 28, 2011 is a record of the adopted and installation of the Oklahoma Constitution and affirmed by vote of the people. 2. President Turner, in collusion with the Justice Peachy, having conspired, manipulated, misquoted the U.S. Constitution and Republic laws in effect to force the Oklahoma people to hold another election of officials that is to be conducted by the President and his aides June 2, 2011. They are quoting an act by Congress of 1890, 51st Congress Session, Chapter 1, 182, 1890, that the President has the authority to appoint or elect government officials in territories, and they are using the Territorial Act as their authority for the President to come into Oklahoma and force an election under their control. Exhibit C. Chief Justice Nathan Peachy letter to Oklahoma people and the Republic Resolution 20112-01 named the Republic Extending Congress Law Act of 2010 Exhibit D repealed or rescinded all the laws after December 19, 1860. Yeah. So the Act of the 1890 has no standing, and nothing in the 1890 Act authorizes the President to conduct any business in Oklahoma except remove a governor, providing Oklahoma was still a territory at that time. 3. A letter was generated and published to the Oklahoma people by Senator Moyer and Wayne McCutcheon that made specific allegations against Senator Brett LaRue, Governor Mark Smith, see Exhibit E. This resulted in a letter from the President directing myself and Wayne McCutcheon to see Exhibit F that attacked myself and Wayne McCutcheon and threatened them in their writings without him knowing the truth. Myself and Wayne McCutcheon responded to the President accepting his threat and offering to meet with him to show proof of evidence of their statement
and proved the Oklahoma people had already held legal elections and adopted and installed the original organic Oklahoma Constitution. The President's reply, I quote, "Rod, these issues are settled. I will be at the meeting on June 2nd, and we will have elections, and as I explained, according to the will of the people of Oklahoma. I do not intend to have any meeting prior to the main meeting to discuss any of these claims." Tim Turner, unquote. 4. The 161 Supreme Court justices, the 6-1 Supreme Court justices, 6 of them, have no valid reason for dismissing 2 court cases filed in the 1 Supreme Court. Only the plaintiff or petitioner has the ability to, and neither did so. Neither reason for the dismissal was that it was so complex that it was not filed in proper format as false CG, Exhibit CG. That is, the Republic of the United States of America rules for submission to the 1 Supreme Court. The reply to Chuck's case and the case against Brett LaRue, Mark Smith, and Tammy White were filed using the 1 Supreme Court rule, see Exhibit H. That contains case numbers ROSC 2012-0001 and case number ROSC 2012-0002. The justices are guilty of malfeasance, collusion, deceit, and violating their oath of office by denying due process and remedy for both parties authorized by the U.S. Constitution. 5. Both the President and justices in collusion, according to the President, where he stated that he and 3 justices discussed the cases and decided that Oklahoma was to hold another election. Both the President and justices violated their oath of office by making decisions in collusion with each other. The President's constitutional duties, responsibilities imposes the duty upon the President to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, require him to ensure due process of the 1 Supreme Court to everyone. Number 6. All 6 named judges are guilty of dismissing cases without proper cause. Signing the dismissals for 6 judges are not having a majority vote of 12 presiding judges and no case law supporting their decisions. 7. All 6 judges are guilty of forgery for the following forgery by copy and pasting the 6 justices' signatures from one court case dismissal to another. Exhibit I. 8. The 6 judges and the President are guilty of not faithfully executing the laws of the U.S. Constitution and therefore violating their sworn oath of office to the people and to the U.S. Constitution by dismissing court cases when making decisions to follow, then attempting to write orders and directives that must be complied with in a letter by the President to the people of Oklahoma. Exhibit A. 9. President Turner is further usurping the constitutional law by demanding and signing of an ASR as a prerequisite to being able to vote or hold office. The Constitution does not have these restrictions to vote. He has just violated everyone's rights in Oklahoma by his act, and to dictate to a state any requirements within the state is unconstitutional. Exhibit J. That enumerates the laws, duties, and the laws. That enumerates the only duties and the laws of the President can perform. He has no authority to demand or order any state to do anything. Only Congress has the power by means of laws that are passed by Congress and approved by the people. No acts have been passed by the Republican Congress that allows the President to execute anything in Oklahoma. 10. The President further made false statements, misinformed, and misled the people of Oklahoma in his letter stating that it was the 1 Supreme Court's decision that Oklahoma people was directed to hold an election. The President and the 1 Supreme Court justice have illegally turned 2 court cases from being dismissed into a recommendation that we hold a new election and then into an order or directive to hold a new election with no options for discussion by the President for review of the facts. Closed case, just follow my demands. The President has no authority to be in Oklahoma or to make demands on the people of Oklahoma. Again, review Exhibit J. That enumerates the President's duties. 11. The President is further usurping the law by obstructing justice and violating the Oklahoma people's rights by not instructing the Record Bureau branch to follow Oklahoma's lawful elections and seating of the government documents that are filed in the Record Bureau branch Dropbox to Congress for their review and acceptance or refusal that will admit Oklahoma into the Union of States. The President is aware of our documents being in the Record Bureau branch Dropbox. 12. The President is guilty of malfeasance and dereliction of duties for not instructing Congress to view the petition for admittance into the Union that was submitted by the Oklahoma Free State to Congress and the President. A unanimous decision conferring all 12 accounts filed were valid, and all the people are named. You are hereby ordered by the authority of the People's Grand Jury to immediately cease and desist any further actions whatsoever in an attempt to reinstall the organic 1907 Oklahoma Constitution that has been already lawfully installed as of 28 October 2011 by the Oklahoma people. And you are further ordered to cease and desist any unlawful actions or communications with anyone in the Oklahoma Free State, more especially Mark Smith, Brett LaRue, and Tammy White. All officials that participate in activities that are identified and determined unlawful by the grand jury are subject to further prosecution. Remedy: demand for Timothy James Turner, President of the Republic of the United States of America. Upon receipt of this notice, publicly notice the people of Oklahoma Free State a retraction of your directive and order that the election will be held in Oklahoma Free State. Officials set for 2 June in Henrietta, Oklahoma. 1. The public apology to the people of Oklahoma Free State for unlawful involvement in the Oklahoma people and government business. 2. Contact Congress for verification or receipt of petition from Oklahoma Free State for admittance into the Union of States, and further have a proclamation issued to the people of Oklahoma Free State stating that their admittance into the Union according to the processes enumerated in the U.S. Constitution. 3. You are hereby demanded to go back and review the Oklahoma Free State's answers and exhibits to court case ROSC 01-20001 and court case ROSC 201-2002, People versus Oklahoma Free State officials, and make sure that the one Supreme Court renders a lawful decision based on the law forms of the Republic for each case instead of personal opinion. That is your responsibility as a check and balance to ensure the one Supreme Court issues lawful and constitutional decisions. 4. You are hereby demanded to contact the RRB and have the custodian contact the Oklahoma Free State Dropbox custodian and have them confirm to you the lawful documents exist in implementation of the Oklahoma Free State Constitution and addendum, and their elected officials are verified and then so noticed the proper officials accordingly. Signed, People's Grand Jury Foreman. And
Does this meeting going on today up there, is that any validity to that meeting at all?
No.
well, here's another one of my assessments. Brett and Mark convinced the president to come down here. So the president decided he'll come down here and he'd bring the Utah document. So everybody in several states that have been demanding to see the Utah document get an opportunity to see it. So that brings a lot of people's attention to Henrietta. At Henrietta, they wanted all the people to go there and hold a new election according to what the president directed.
Does the grand jury puts those people out of office? Since they've all usurped their positions, can the grand jury say they're out?
What we asked was them to do remedy on the 2 court cases. One of the court cases takes out the It proves in the court cases that the republic is a republic on the Chuck Cross side. Okay? The other court case against Mark and Brett, the remedies in those court cases bring it back to us, you people, for completing your grand jury documents to determine who was lawful and who was not lawful of the elected officials that you elected.
But suppose they still say, well, we're still in office, you can't kick us out. Who's going to get them out? Is the grand jury going to get them out?
No. If these people come back, Mark and Brett say, I'm governor, I'm House of Representatives, Senator, whatever, you, the people, get to say, no, you were in office.
We agreed today, just now, to make her the governor. So Mark is nothing. Okay?
How's he going to get him out of office because I'm still in office?
Okay.
Who's going to say, no, you're out?
We just said he's out.
Yeah.
She's the governor.
Yeah.
A few minutes ago, we just appointed her temporarily as the governor until we hold elections. It's done.
It's done. We are Oklahoma Free State.
Yes.
Our documents are in the Dropbox. We are at right now forcing the hand of General to review our.
We're not forcing General to do anything.
Well, you
We're
may.
giving General an opportunity to fix some issues that they have gone astray. Okay, they have issues with some of their officials at the Republic. They are evidently asking us to give them. They haven't officially asked us, but they told Ron Boston and Jeff Milliken that they were asking for more time because this says it must be done in 7 days.
Ron, I have an update. Turner is at the meeting. Richard Bacon is at the meeting.
No, he was asked
Asked
to
to
leave
leave. Ed.
because he would not sign an ASR, and if you don't sign an ASR, you're not allowed to stay.
Nathan Peachy is not there, but he is on his way. They're going ahead with the election as it stands right now. Nathan Peachy is on his way. We don't know what will happen, and we have no one there now to witness it that we can rely on. We could rely on Richard. Richard was asked to leave. If you don't sign an ASR up to this point right now, you're not in the Republic.
Well, like I said, we have to wait and see what comes out of that meeting. Okay?
Well, we have no.
But there's no validity to that meeting.
That's right. We are the Oklahoma government. We are going to continue on right here. Us.
We have.
Okay.
We have Nathan Peachy's personal telephone number. When this thing ends, we can call. We still got barbecue to eat, and we'll have a little time to find out. Okay, Debbie.
I'm not sure what an ASR is.
Affidavit of sovereign rights. You signed a DSR, a Declaration of Sovereign Rights, when you signed into the Republic.
Well, I remember-
Just so you all understand, ASR is not a legal document. It has not been passed by Congress. Okay, they had a draft up there on the Congress side, and they never passed it. So it's not even a legal document. Okay, all of their law form documents specifically identified to be official in Oklahoma is the DSR. If you have a DSR, you're good to go. They have to go back and amend the laws that they wrote before they can demand for you to use an ASR.
They're breaking the law again.
They are. They are breaking the law again. Okay. The next thing is they passed a citizenship document, which I don't know if y'all got.
It's an application.
Pretty hot going out there. They passed a citizenship document at national, voted on by Congress. The president has 10 days to veto it. We published a document identifying in that document that you are relinquishing your citizenship to the state. That is not constitutional.
Okay. We know the president has received the restraining order from your case that you filed. We know the president has received our grand jury notice that he can't have an election. The cease and desist restraining order was on just strictly concerning the election that they filed. We know they received that. We know they received, according to the phone call yesterday with Peachy, yes, we have received that, the restraining order notice. So they have received I know it didn't keep the president from coming into Oklahoma, it just stopped him from holding and having anything to do with that election. Now, as of right now, without the presence of Peachy coming in, the president has received those two documents and knows this, and is going ahead with the election.
Well, if we're gonna go ahead with the election, then it doesn't have any bearing on us, because we're the free state.
We're the free state, but they're having an election under the pretense they are free state. Oklahoma Free State. We've
You're
declared,
under the pretense that because every one of them signed that ASR, they are the group.
they're the group, they're the recognized group by the president right now. Peachy is on his way to this. The president has big issues with this, even up on Peachy reaching there, because he is, as of right now, he's breaking their restraining order and not complying with our grand jury notice.
So now we're gonna have to replace the
We're going to
president,
have to
right?
replace the president. He is not going to abide by any rule of law. He's not going to recognize any lawful document. We have to replace the president. The man must be impeached.
Gonna be impeached.
Yes, he must be, and it's a lawful process of impeachment. We fully, thoroughly understand that. And
How do we go about replacing the president?
what?
How do we go about replacing the president?
We impeach him. The vice president takes over temporarily until we can hold lawful.
Wasn't Vice President Crook also?
Well, then it goes to the Speaker of the House, a piece of fruit, and you keep going down the line. You finally get to somebody until they only need to sit there long enough that we can hold elections and elect somebody lawful into their positions. That's it. And so just like Denise is going to step in for Mark, she's lieutenant governor, she steps up, that's fine. The vice president steps up and becomes president. While the president is under investigation, I'm not thoroughly versed on that, whether he has to stand down at that point, or he can just be censored as president and go forward.
Congress has to impeach the president.
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question, and I just want you gentlemen, first off, I want to say these guys is our backbone right now. They're helping us get everything straightened out, and they are working day and night to do this. But they're fighting for the people, not for themselves to get them anywhere. They're fighting for you guys to protect you guys. The question that was just asked to me is, does the president have more power than the one Supreme Court? Peachy.
No.
And my answer was, no, the president is below him. I'm below these guys.
Don't get confused, okay? There are three separate independent branches of the government according to the Constitution. By law, the president isn't supposed to be talking to Justin Peachy, okay? That is called collusion. The president is not supposed to be talking to Congress other than issuing an annual union address of the union, okay, where he says that this is where he believes we need to be going. That's his duty. His other duties, I published a complete list of the duties of the president, and coming to Oklahoma, interfering in our business is not one of them.
No,
okay?
that's right.
But then they've all usurped their positions, so they should all be kicked out. But how do you do it?
We have the documentation that is in process right now. Okay? The grand jury has the authority to give an indictment to them. We gave them notice. They are being given an opportunity to rectify their faults. Right now, they're in that window. Okay? If they fail to rectify their faults, okay, then we will proceed with the grand jury and bring a presentment, which are supposed to go to, by the Constitution impeachment process, it goes to the Attorney General, and it goes to the Congress. Once they get the presentment, the House of Representatives has to convene with all the representatives in the United States, and they have to review the impeachment, the petition, okay, the complaint, and they have to do an investigation. they will take certain members out of the House of Representatives to investigate, and they have to draw up what they call articles of impeachment. For every 12 articles that we have on that piece of paper, they should have an article of impeachment. Okay? Those articles will be given to the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives will write the articles of impeachment. They will swear in so many of the certain House of Representatives to become members. They go from a representative to a member. Okay? Those members will then take the articles of impeachment and present them to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, which is in collusion. Okay? So they got another issue on their hand. But those articles of impeachment are presented to the Senate. The Senate is the trial. They're the jurors to mandate whether they are going to be impeached under the grounds of indictment that we gave them, the presentment. And if they determine one of those 12 presentments are valid, they will be impeached. Period. And they're done.
And it won't happen overnight.
No.
We're the only legal grand jury right now, right?
In country.
Okay, that's what I got.
We thoroughly established our standing as a people's grand jury.
Okay.
That's done. Now there are 10 other, well, I've been told 12, but we know for sure 10 other states watching what we're doing here.
They have done so many things that aren't appropriate, okay, and offended and broken people's rights. For example, Indiana. We got an email from the Indiana governor, the previous Indiana governor, that they did exactly the same thing. They went into Indiana and they set up their own little poor group.
Ron, let me add something. Carolyn talked to Richard Bacon out there. There were, 20 people there, which isn't a very big turnout.
No.
And Richard Bacon was asked to leave, and so was Pam, and I guess they wouldn't sign his ASR. And Carolyn says that there were people there from Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas.
That meant they had even less.
So they had more people from other states watching.
Than they actually.
In other words, they're joining us in this suit.
They were asked to leave also?
No, not the other states, just
So how many
Richard, the Crayles and Richard Bacon and Gene
So
Schiller.
if you count,
I can believe that.
if you count the people from other states that showed up for this, and Pam and Richard, and you get Pam and Richard to leave, and you have to know the number of heads that were from other states, that leaves a core group for Mark's group of what? 8.
So you're telling me there were only 20 people, Don?
That's what Richard said, there were about 20 people there.
No, whether that includes Arkansas, Missouri, or Kansas, she doesn't know if that includes.
So we got more people here than they got there.
If that includes these Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas.
Very interesting.
We do.
That's interesting, isn't it?
So it's not a big blowout there.
Quick question. Did y'all get the mail from Mark Smith?
Yeah. Don,
Did y'all get the email from Mark Smith yesterday?
Yeah, I got that email.
The real
I forwarded
ugly
on
one.
James.
Where they were, he was talking ugly about James and Wayne and Ron. I just want y'all to understand, because these guys are, like I said, told you, they're working hard for you all, and Mark and them are just badgering them and being ugly and writing the little, I call it childish emails, tit for tat. And these guys are not trying to control anybody. They're trying to help and keep things lawful.
Well, how about Creel and Patterson, and where do they stand in all this? They control quite a few members of this organization.
Well, we have.
Here's one of them.
Right here is
Yeah, right
part
here.
of
She's
Mr.
one,
Kyle's, but
and Donna's one.
I went, okay, so y'all, another part of the story you're not aware of, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting, but I was invited.
Everybody was invited.
Everyone, yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm just saying, I'm
But
one of the people
You went as
that
a representative.
Yeah.
I was one of the people that was invited to a meeting in Stroud, okay, a couple weeks ago. And we went there with the intention of trying to unify, to come to some kind of agreement, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, which went very well. It went very well. I presented our stance. Mark Smith was there, okay, and
Steve Morrow.
Steve Morrow. okay, that walked up and gave them the ASRs and said, if you want to be part of our group, here's your ASR, sign it. And let me give you some background on it real quick. What happened was Chuck put out a letter saying that they were going to hold an assembly, okay? And then something happened and they were going to cancel the assembly. And Mark Smith got a hold of Chuck, or Liddell or Chuck, and said, well, let's go have an assembly and try to work it out. And then I got called by Liddell. I got called by Liddell, and he invited me personally, and I said, okay, I'll come. So I came to the meeting.
You said you didn't get the email.
No, I didn't. I got called personally. Okay. I got a personal invitation. I went to it because I'm interested in unifying. Okay. I went to their group and said, look, I'm interested in unifying. Okay. So what happened was the meeting went very well. We decided we were going to try to get back together in 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Today.
Okay. And everything went honky-dory. And the next thing we know, Mark comes up to me and he's offering me the Attorney General's job. Okay, and he's offering Denise the Secretary of State job. And I looked at him and I said, we already have our positions. We already been elected into positions. What are you talking about? So this has been their plan. So Mark went back, and I can only assume, okay, I'm making an assumption, okay, that he went back and he called President Turner, because he's got President Turner's here, and told President Turner that our meeting was a success and we have unified. Okay? So Turner decided at that point that he was going to come here and hold elections. Okay? Because Mark told him that everything was honky-dory. Well, a couple days later at the round table at the legislature, Gene Schroeder asked him, what are you talking about? That's not what happened at the meeting. And he kind of put him on the spot, which he should have, because that's not what took place at the meeting. Okay? So right? Exactly. Okay, and from there on, it just went into this election thing, and we try to put a stop to it. They filed a restraining order against President Turner. The Chuck Crow group filed a restraining order against the president for coming
in. Oklahoma de jure.
Okay.
Who was that now? Creel?
Creel's group filed a restraining order on the president.
Gene Millicent has been involved way since rap. They didn't tell him anything.
Right. Gene Millicent is the district federal court judge for Oklahoma, for this region, according to his oath of office. Okay, so he fired a restraining order at the president. Okay, the president went directly to Peachy. I guess Peachy is his attorney, I guess, which is collusion again. Okay, and Peachy fired back a writ of prohibition and mandamus. Okay,
which they can't do.
I'll get to that. Okay. Anyway, Peachy filed back a writ of prohibition and mandamus. But if you know your law and you go into the Constitution, you will realize that a writ of mandamus was amended and removed from the authority of the one Supreme Court back in 18-something. Okay. So what we did to be nice is we went ahead, because it was a good document and they worked hard on it, and we didn't mind them stopping the election. We went ahead and sent them the rebuttal to Chuck's group. I sent it to Richard. Okay, and they amended the restraining order and shot back at the one Supreme Court, which shot them down because they couldn't stop the restraining order. And it stands right now. Okay, it's supposed to be standing right now. Okay, the president is not supposed to be in Oklahoma doing an election. Okay, according to that lawful restraining order. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it because it's a lot more technical than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's where that stands. So he got fired up on our People's Grand Jury document. He also got fired up on a restraining order from a federal judge here.
Yes, he did.
Okay. And Peachy tried to say that judge didn't have no standing, which, that's questionable. I'm not going to get into
Well, then we should have a meeting in about, 2 weeks, so we ask this all over again.
Well, yeah, we need to find out where the fallout is.
Exactly.
What happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is not going to keep us from going forward.
Exactly.
Okay, because what they're doing is unlawful, and they have the evidence. We provided it to them already.
How did Utah get roped into this?
No, Utah's a Utah document. That is the official document that they stood up the U.S. Constitution in March of 2010. That's their authority document to establish the republic.
That's like the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
Similar. Yeah. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
It's a good Declaration of Independence, really what it is.
Okay, I've never seen the document.
That's the
It's
backbone of the
really,
federal
to me,
government.
I would like to see it someday, but right now, I got enough fires to put out.
Isn't it important?
Our problem is right here.
You know, we have an assembly, we are the lawful assembly of Oklahoma. We right here. Period. By law, we are the lawful assembly. Eventually, national will recognize that. If it takes more court cases or whatever, they'll recognize it. But there's other things involved. We want to make sure that Tim Turner is what he says he is. Okay?
We already know he is.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Okay? He may have some de facto people up there, and he's not getting the right information. That is real prevalent right now. It's showing. Okay? But I want to talk to the man, and I haven't had the opportunity, but a couple times on the phone, and they were pretty interesting. I want to know personally where he stands. By the documents that they're producing, okay, out of the Republic, it is appearing that they're trying to establish a nation state, which takes away your citizenship as a citizen of the state. Because they can't do that by Constitution. If that is their goal, I don't want to be a part of it anyway. Okay? But that doesn't keep us from stopping.
But I got an email from Turner that said that he was going to come down here and straighten this whole Oklahoma thing out by having an election today.
See now?
That automatically cancels him out.
Who was that from?
Turner.
Today.
I got it, several days ago.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to be here on the 2nd, and he was going to straighten us out.
Right. Everybody got that letter.
Yeah.
That was illegal.
Yeah, that's what I said. That automatically kicks him
That's
out.
why we did that grand jury document. That's one of the findings of the grand jury document.
See, this has changed since that letter.
We gave the president, he didn't like it, we gave him his right and left limit. Okay? We wrote his duties and responsibilities because I got into a little bit of a spat in an email with him. He threatened me in an email, and I told him, I take your challenge. Okay, I take your threat, and I challenge you to find out something that we did unlawful. I challenge him. He's just the president. He's down there. You know, people can't get that in their mind. This is a republic. The president's at the bottom, and we are the power of the people. Okay? People need to start thinking that way. Anyway, I told the president in my email that I challenged him to find out something that I did unlawful. You're not going to find anything because I don't do stuff like that. Okay? And I challenged him to look at the evidence that we had to prove that they are unlawful and we are the lawfully seated Oklahoma Republic. Okay? I challenged them. They evidently took it because Nathan Peachy spent 8 hours here yesterday going over our documents. What happens in the next few hours will probably tell the tale.
Well, are there other people out there in Oklahoma City and up north that are honest and can join this group?
Sure there are.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
Sure, there's a lot of them.
We're not done here. We're going to rebuild it again and reestablish the elected officials, and we're going to drive on down the road. We don't even need President Turner.
No.
What do we need him for?
Right.
We don't.
Well,
He's the
This
farthest
republic
from
is not about one man.
the individual we
we're talking about Oklahoma. We're not talking about ceding the United States of America. We need to establish Oklahoma.
Well, that's once we get seated, we have to just ignore him.
We already are seated. We don't need their permission. We already installed the Oklahoma Constitution and are the lawful government right now.
We
have 10 states watching us that will probably duplicate, mirror what we're doing.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, so we automatically, and I think it's more like we would be the 11th. I think before that it was 12, so we'd be the 13th. I'm lucky 13th.
I vote that we take a break.
Let's take a 10-minute break for 15. Talk to kids about
Talk.
The liberals do.
Taking the time to bring us all up to date on all the stuff that happened and read.
Well, I tried, like I said, when y'all did your
Okay, conservatives there is exactly, you know,
How many times have you ever seen me sit type out something?
I told him, figure it out over against that, was a liar. Sure, honesty and integrity, you're not going to lie, you're not going to steal. That's all we're not together. But Brett LaRue and I had this thing going down for years.
they keep going down this way.
Trying to find them.
I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they did.
He said he had two people who were ready to and they would contact me and then buy me out and take it home. If you don't come, that was my problem. That's all we're He should come. Let's get this thing going. I gotta get out of here. Let's get it rolling. I knew Brett LaRue was lying. From the word go. Get that straightened out. Nobody was in shit from that.
Oh, you got the little puppy. Trying to see what's in
I don't know how. Who's owns the dog?
That's hers.
That's her dog?
That's a miniature schnauzer.
What is it?
Miniature schnauzer. He got his hair cut yesterday.
He didn't get cut like a schnauzer.
It's too hot.
Well, he goes to the lake with him and gets all mad.
That's right.
He grows.
Call the meeting to order, James.
All right, we're calling the meeting to order. The assembly to order.
No.
Then we got to call around over.
I announced today, June 2nd, 2012, in the beginning, so that should make it right in the beginning. So we're covered there. All right, where we were at was we had breaking news from Henrietta. What we don't know, and probably can't know until that ends, and a phone call from Mr. Peachy, what transpired. So we had one more order of business here. Anna has brought up as a Secretary of State, temporary Secretary of State until we can have elections to be our record keeper for the state, Oklahoma Free State. She wants to nominate us for that position. So we have Denise as acting governor until we can have elections, and probably a acting Secretary of State for as record keeper. You know,
We have a motion.
we have a motion. We have a second.
I second.
Second. Donald, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You're acting Secretary of State for Oklahoma Free State. You are the holder of the records.
Don't hold your breath, you'll get paid though.
Where's our recording secretary?
Cheryl? She's playing outside.
She's restroom break, I think.
Yeah.
It's recorded, right?
Yeah.
It's recorded. Yeah.
Since you're the Secretary of State, recording secretary.
Yeah. Go ahead and record yourself in. Okay.
Check.
Is there any topic of discussion that was left out and talked about? Because because this is,
One thing I would like to do is I went back and I reviewed the minutes for the 28th of October, and I want to officially put on the record that Linda McLaughlin evidently changed the one of the elected positions, okay, from auditor to comptroller. And I believe when they read the minutes that was oversighted, that comptroller is in fact an auditor, and the elected official would be Robert Miles. Okay? That needs to be amended and corrected in the official record.
so the recording secretary for the People's Assembly, keeper of the minutes of the Assembly, has come back and falsified and changed.
I didn't say that.
Well,
Modified.
I didn't say that either.
Okay.
What I said is when the record was recorded, somehow auditor became comptroller. Okay? I'm not saying she changed anything. The official record says comptroller. Our voting documents and our organizational structure of the Oklahoma Constitution, that position was voted in as the auditor. So how it happened, I'm not saying.
You don't have
But the official records were never changed.
So that's
I don't want to make any assumptions. You all can take it for what it is.
okay.
I just want to make sure that that is corrected, it isn't wrong.
Would that be errors and omissions? Would that be under errors and omissions?
If you want to so make it, but I think all it needs to be is a correction. Someone can line through it and put auditor, because all of our supporting documents support an auditor.
Say
The organizational
schedule.
structure and the voting was auditor, not comptroller.
It could have
Somebody
been,
has to
Brett's
initial.
involved in that.
yeah, it could have been
Somebody
an
will have to
oversight or
initial the
side
change.
action.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure it's corrected, because those people aren't involved with this anymore.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because that original October 28th
Minutes.
vote, minutes, you know, was incorrect in one place as it was voted upon. So we can just go line through that and put it back as it was by vote and correct the minutes. Could be oversight, could be something else.
What is necessary to obtain our documents from Steve Morrow?
Well, we've asked him how many times.
Well,
I'm talking about all of our state
Here's
documents.
my take on it. And it all hinges on Peachy right now and today. When Peachy goes to that, if he stops this, it'd be based on probably the validation that he understands it as now, that the People's Grand Jury is lawfully installed.
I don't think it has anything to do with that.
It may not, but it may have an influence on his decision. If he has viewed our cases and saw we had cases, good answers, lawful documents, then that probably has some bearing on this. So, but I think in the end, it is that lawfully installed People's Grand Jury is the enforcement to see it through, all the way to the end, which would, by conclusion, will be impeachment of the president. And some of the justices, including the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, those that have broken the law, the constitutional law, will have to be held accountable to that. And it will be the People's Grand Juries, which is supreme law of the land, that they'll have to answer the people, the bosses. So, okay.
I would like to give our gratitude for Chuck's people coming over to.
Yes, indeed.
We're not Chuck's people, we're the Oklahoma du jour.
It's just a bad habit of mine. I appreciate y'all coming, and I extend our thanks, and I want to make sure that you know that you're all welcome in our house.
Well, hey, we like you guys too. We were all together at one time. We miss y'all. I mean,
We'll work the issues out.
Yeah, we will. There's some sticking points that shouldn't be there, and we should be able to resolve those just in logical reasoning, using the constitutions, and these can be ironed out. And we'll get there. This is a start. Thank you, guys.
Well, okay.
So,
Let me throw something else out. Okay, just because Nashville has issues that need to be fixed, doesn't mean that we can't continue on as a republic. Of Oklahoma.
Exactly.
Okay? If Nashville is not going to be the player, and we be a part of that system, then I don't see any reason why we are bound by their rules. Okay?
Louisiana is doing this as we speak. They've withdrawn. They're still organizing. They're still building, recruiting, and the outside can turn.
Which means, as a unification effort, we're not bound by their joint resolutions that could be possibly unlawful. Which means we could sit down at the table without the restrictions of coming up with a Republican-formed constitution. If you get my drift on that, Don? Okay. That's always a possibility. Because that seems to be one of the deterrents of us unifying. Because they have a constitution which they already know does not meet the force structure needed to support Oklahoma. But they have some things in their constitution that's not bad either. So I believe the individuals that have the ability to write a good document, a Republican-formed document that protects the people's rights, that we could sit down at the drawing board and maybe unify that way. We talked about it at the last meeting, okay? That's a very good possibility. Okay? So we're going to have to get back with them and try to work out something.
I got an email from Wayne Gumball. He's an awful fine fellow, very
Yes, sir.
religious Christian man. And, you know, he made a comment. He said it could be that now we're separating the wolves from the sheep.
Yes, sir.
It could be.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes. And that's pretty much all that I have, you know. Thank you very much.
I have no doubt that we love our state and we love our country. And we've all served and pretty much been person and defended our freedoms. So, yeah, we're all patriots. As well, so.
And we all worked hard.
And we've all worked
to
thousands,
get ourselves
thousands
established.
of hours.
Yes,
I'd also like to thank John Dawson and Dick Milton.
yes.
Yes, fine job.
And presenting a lot of information that we might not have had. We appreciate them being here and look forward to them being here a lot of other meetings. I think they will, and I hope they do.
They worked very hard to present this to the president, and the president was coming and then decided he couldn't come because the one Supreme Court told him he couldn't come. They gave us the one Supreme Court's number, so we called the one Supreme Court. They told us that they didn't tell the president he couldn't come. So, like I said, they got some issues that they need to work out, okay? And that's just about what it is.
This has been going on for 1, 2, and 3 in the morning for, I don't know how long time.
Next year, we didn't do that.
I would like to say that when PG came to Oklahoma from Pennsylvania, flew in to rent a car to come to my house to verify the documents. That was a lot for him to do. Whenever I calculated his time, me and Ron, we decided to take him the documents because he had a lot to read through the night to save him about 3 hours worth of driving and getting lost in that. So, and he would,
And tell the truth, he didn't want him to see you.
I'm sure you think.
Thank you, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly.
Make sure everybody signs the sign.
You sign in?
We need to have one.
A piece of paper, did you get to sign in, Roster?
We need to do that while everybody's here. It's a sheet of paper and everybody signs it, we'll pass it around. That's just, you were here. And, that's it right there.
Does anybody have any questions? Want to talk about something?
Are you going to be like Mark?
Am I
Always
gonna be
clear
like,
my bread now.
you gonna sleep on the couch? Hey, you know what Wayne just said to me? He said, I didn't see your name on the list. Did you spell it right? And I said, yes. And he says, our last governor couldn't.
Oh, man.
That was cute.
Turn that off.
I can't believe I said that. Very close up, Janet.
Okay.
Well, let's get in trouble.
Okay, who hasn't signed in yet?
Yeah, we're starting.
I signed your name.
No.
We're going to close this assembly?
And I'd like to thank our cook.
Yes,
Food provider.
Yes, thank you so much, yes.
Yeah, if anybody can, we thought we were
We
going to
haven't got
have
to the good stuff.
more people show up. If anybody can donate to Debbie and them on food, then please.
Go ahead and sign it.
If you can.
Jeff.
We understand.
Everybody heard.
Goes like quicker.
Everybody's doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. We'll announce it. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys heard me, but if anybody can donate anything money-wise to Debbie for the food we're about to partake and have partaken, then, if you can afford whatever, then please do. And if not, we'll come up with some funding and repay her, when we have the treasury and everything.
Was there any charge for the facility or the?
No, it's free.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
we get this free. And we'll use it until we outgrow it. Yeah. It's a nice place. I mean, we'll be able to.
It's just a long ways.
Well, for you guys. No, I mean, we'll use it for our local. We're going to use it for our local.
Where it is.
How far is it, 200?
I think it's like 246 miles.
Our next assembly will be somewhere more central. Yeah, we just hadn't had one as we felt the need for security, some tribal land and stuff like that. We wasn't sure what was about to go down. And so it just, for security reasons, wanted to have it here. It's
Well, we enjoyed coming down and seeing this part of the country.
And in all reality too, Talihina has recruited a bunch of people and done a lot of work. And I believe at one of our assemblies, we made the statement that whoever recruited the next time got the most recruits, we would have our assembly at their place.
Yeah.
So, and that was just an incentive for everybody to start recruiting.
Well, that was one of the two that Caroline missed, was one you had here once before, that didn't come. I forget which one.
It was just before the storm.
Just before the disaster.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But, well, is there any other business that anybody wants to discuss or talk about? We're about to close this thing out. Hopefully, we'll be able to get somewhere before we all leave, whether it be a phone call with Mr. Peachy or whatever we can come up with.
Check your emails, okay, and we'll post you with anything that comes up. Keep it abreast.
One thing there is, we were told that Snitch puts out a virus when you get an email from Snitch. And I've opened up every email from Snitch, and I've never got a virus at all. I believe that was a ploy from Mark and Brett.
Well, of course.
Everybody stopped reading all the lawful stuff and see what was actually happening. So anytime you get an email from Snitch, or, well, I'm not gonna say everybody, because.
Unless you receive it forwarded from somebody, then possibly something might be attached.
Yeah, if it's a forward from Snitch, I don't think I'd open it, but I've opened up every one of them and never got a virus.
That's a smart son.
Yeah, I enjoy reading that snitch, Because what's going on.
If we have no further discussion or business, then we'll close this out with.
We got a break for you.
What's up there? That's it. Yeah.
Ronnie, you will do that honors again?
You got one left in your brother?
Oh, yeah, always.
Okay.
My brother always.
Most gracious Holy Father, look down on your we pray that today's meeting has been found pleasing in your sight. Touch, heal, anoint, deliver. And may your will be done. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. As it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I guess we have some more directions. The June 2nd Assembly is now closed for 2012.
All right.